Welcome back to the Cain and Day Show. I am your host, Cain. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Killing Cain. Well, I'm going to introduce my co-host here. He'll tell you where he's at, and then we'll talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, my name is Day. You can find me on Twitter at Realdaygaming1, and follow the show on Twitter, the Cain and Day Show.
Do it. Also, I mean, you could be listening to us on Spotify, but I think we have more YouTube concurrent viewers than we do Spotify listens. But follow YouTube at the Cain and Day Show as well. So let's jump into it. Really, all-time great Super Bowl.
I called it.
It was an all-time great Super Bowl. That was one of the best games that I've ever seen. I do think that the Eagles got robbed of it at the end there, but we'll get to that when we get there. But all in all, the Eagles they decided to show up in that first half. They put up a lot of points, and I mean,
they had one mistake.
What was their mistake?
Jalen's fumble that was returned. That was their only mistake.
Yeah,
it obviously cost them 7, but
the offense was damn near perfect on every single level. The QB sneak with that O-line is unguardable.
Stupid.
You had Chris Jones on top of the line trying to tackle him, and they still couldn't do it, and he was getting an extra yard out of it.
Dumb.
Oh my god. But
I think he ended, 30... Was he 36 for 39?
I think so.
On the year after the game ended?
That was a really good... That's like one of the best completion percentages in the league.
Yeah, it's stupid.
It is.
And then the way they can go from that next year and just add to it.
Oh, and they have a top draft pick, I believe.
I think it's top 10, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that they have 9 or 11. So, you also get pieces. You probably are going to have a good off season because people are going to see, hey, Philly's a destination now. Look at Nick Sirianni. He really turned that team into what they kind of were. You could talk about schedule all year, but they also were 9 and something against winning record teams this year. So, kind of put that debate to bed. There is a dude.
It got scary there in the second quarter, though.
Yeah, there's this guy on TikTok. It's like the Carton Daily or whatever. This dude hates the Eagles. Absolutely hates the Eagles. And just shits on them left and right. I think I had them in my preseason prediction to win it all. I'm trying to remember, but I know they were up there. But let's jump into it real quick. Jalen Hurts on the day, 27 for 38, 304 and a touchdown. Like you said, the only faults of his game that, whole team in it, honestly, was the fumble that got returned. Fumble doesn't get returned, it might be a little bit of a different story. The one thing I do love, though, is right after the fumble, they get the ball right back, and he answers.
Yeah, I mean, he had, 3 rushing touchdowns?
He did.
I think he ended with 71 rushing yards?
70.
On top of it, 70. I had over 36.5, so I was thrilled. But
so 15 carries for 70 yards. He had some very good designed runs, and runs where he had to scramble for his life and got 15 yards or something like that.
Well, I like the play calls too from that OC, especially after the fumble, that has so much trust in him that he won't do it again. The first play back was a QB draw. That's fantastic.
The one bad thing is he's probably going to be the next head coach of the Colts. So
that's fine, but he called a great game and had faith in that team. Nick Sirianni does not kick field goals, which really, isn't fun for me because I had a field goal prop. But it's the biggest stage.
There's
so much opening.
It's the biggest stage. He took every opportunity he could. Anytime it was past 50-yard line, he said, fuck it, we're going for it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. They were going to go for it unless they drew a penalty.
And if you're sitting there 3rd and 6, you have 2 plays to get 6 yards. And with the way that offense works, you should be getting 3.5 a play. And so you should get 7.
Right.
Move the chain. That's how they had a 17-play drive.
Yeah.
It tied the record.
I mean, they also had possession of the ball, I believe 21 minutes to 8 going at the 30-minute mark. So that was huge.
I mean, Kansas City only had 3 drives. And one was a missed field goal, which I did win money off of that. So
that was wild. But you also have your running back room not do much outside of him. Kenneth Gainwell was 7 for 21. Miles Sanders 7 for 16. Boston Scott.
I don't think Boston Scott had a good chance. Like he had some good runs in there.
He did. He got crucial first downs. But here's the one thing that I do love. I'm gonna go to the receiving core. These 3 are gonna be feared in Philly for a very, very long time. Dallas Goedert was in his bag last night. Basically,
he had 2 catches.
He had 6.
This went unnoticed.
But
he didn't score for me.
Well, I feel like every time Dallas got the ball, it was a crucial play to turn the chains. And
well, I mean, that one catch, it was 3rd and 14.
Yeah.
That was a 25-yard catch.
He was very good. Devonta Smith, 7 for 100 yards. And not to mention, A.J. Brown was 6 for 96. You love to see that, especially in the Super Bowl.
That reroute he had to get that touchdown pass was, I mean, first class.
Yeah, he is definitely a top 5 guy, and like Devonta's probably going to creep into the top 10 next year if he can keep putting together these types of seasons. Their pass catching was great. The one downside to this whole entire team was that defensive front. They did not get a single sack.
There was only 1 in the game.
And yeah.
They were 1 and 2 in sack leaders for the season, and Philly was the sack leader by a mile, and there was only 1 sack, and it wasn't even a sack. Jalen got forced out on a scramble and happened to lose a yard. That was the 1 sack in the game.
Yeah, and it's tough to see.
That's credit to the O-lines.
Yeah, fantastic, and like I said, that quarterback sneak. Jason Kelce gets so low on those.
He's on the ground. It's a rugby scrum. That's what it is.
And it really works out when you have 2 Hall of Famers on your O-line. So, all in all, it was a great game by Philly. You could play ifs, ands, or buts all day. If they get the ball back with 58 left, who knows what could have happened.
With the way their offense was going, it was not going anywhere.
No, in Kansas City, tale of 2 halves. Their defense wasn't great outside that, that fumble. And I believe they had 1 pass block up where he threw it to double coverage.
Where it was almost picked off.
Right, but
because he did that earlier in the game and it worked.
Right.
This time it didn't work.
But yeah, outside of that, they did what they had to do. It didn't help that at the end there, Tony got that 70-yard return.
Oh, I was rooting him on. That would have been the first ever punt return in the Super Bowl, which would have been exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Once he broke that lane, I'm like, this guy is going to get 1 catch on a blown coverage and a punt return touchdown. Mm-hmm. And this guy's going to somehow win the MVP because he just touched the ball twice and did that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the Eagles were doing on those goal line
where they basically did the exact same play.
It was the exact same play, just a little bit. It was the same route, kind of.
Yeah, just different player.
And Sky Moore's was more of he started a shallow and then went back out.
Oh yeah.
Tony's was a motion and then just went back out. But it was the same blown coverage.
They were playing some weird zones last night.
It was the same blown coverage.
Yeah.
Twice.
And you had a wide open field, wide open, just walk into the end zone.
I could have scored that.
Yeah, most likely.
Sky Moore was so wide open, I could have scored that. I don't even think there was an eagle on that part of that third of the field.
I don't believe there was.
Because I believe the closest defensive back was on the hash line.
Most likely.
And he was in the end zone, of course, so it's kind of like, yeah, draw the line. But
he basically could just walk in. It was like that for
which
both
is what he
plays. And, hats off. And on the Chiefs side, Mahomes got banged up. I didn't think he was coming back, but
neither did the doctor I watch on YouTube.
He says that he didn't get any shots or anything.
I don't believe that.
And he comes back out. Here's why I don't believe it, because he had 21 for 182, 3 touchdowns, of course. He also had 44 yards on the ground.
I think 25 of that was on one run.
I do think so as well. But he popped right up, just looked like nothing was wrong.
26. It was 26, my fault.
And, yeah, the resiliency...
But you also have to think, this is the Super Bowl, right?
Unless something's broken.
Adrenaline is raging through their bodies.
Right.
Especially, you're at the middle of the game, you're trying to kind of pick the pieces back up from where they were at. His adrenaline was probably just through the roof.
I think so.
And he didn't feel anything.
I also
for me, it would be.
I also think, though, that they have a new running back one next year.
Isaiah Pacheco is quick, and if that field, my good God, if that field didn't suck, Pacheco would have had more than the 76 he had.
Yeah, I agree.
That was bad.
I've
never seen a field so bad.
He takes the reins from Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
who wasn't even active last night.
He's nowhere to be found for the last 2 years. He was supposed to be that big running back that they got out of college, and outside his rookie year, he hasn't done a whole lot. So
no, Pacheco's fast. I didn't realize how fast. Obviously, I watched all the games, but he was quick last night.
He was a different breed last night. As soon as he hit the hole, he was gone.
Mm-hmm. He was gone. Yep.
And crazy stat, right? They have Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
On their team.
Yeah, he won a ring. It's crazy.
He won a ring riding the pine.
No, what's crazy is Chad Henne has more rings than Aaron Rodgers, and he's played 20 snaps in 5 years.
Yeah. Wild, right? They're receiving Juju, I believe, is going to be a Chief for the rest of time. They're going to get him for such a crazy deal that, this is going to be one of the most friendly deals you're going to see, because you're not paying him top dollar. You're just not. He's not a top dollar guy. But you're going to get a 5-year, maybe $45 million out of him, maybe 50, just give him 10 a year. I think that this is going to be a good signing for this team. And if you can get Kadarius Toney really involved, you're not missing much.
Gotta give him a confidence boost. I feel like the Giants gave up on him, obviously.
Well, now he won a ring.
I just think... Well, yeah, but just give him some confidence.
Yeah.
And give him an off season. I think he'll be just fine in that system.
I agree. I do agree with that. You're going to go a full off season hanging out with him and Juju. And most likely Travis Kelce, who was phenomenal last night. As always, he's just unguardable. I don't get it.
Well, that touchdown, that route was so clean. And then for them to use that same type of route and flip it, even though I don't believe he caught it, or if he did, it wasn't great. But just the thought that you can just do whatever you want,
right?
It's incredible.
Yeah, this team came over a lot of adversity all year. You kind of had the question marks. I was one of the people that I was like, they didn't do anything with their team.
Yeah, you were there. You had them in 4th. Just remember that.
I did. I did have.
I do
place.
remember that. I don't remember who your Super Bowl prediction was, but I remember you put them in fourth.
You know,
and I had them in first. I just want that clear.
You know, and hats off to you. You know, I won't doubt Patrick Mahomes again. I did see a TikTok where somebody was like, "You guys, you know, you're the Patriots now, right? Modern day Patriots." And
it's getting there.
And
3 in 5 years.
That's pretty.
Well, 3 appearances.
Right. But 2 in 5 years is impressive.
Well, of course, and he's got the 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
I don't know if he really deserved Super Bowl MVP last night.
Oh yeah, he did. He controlled that second half.
Like I said, Jalen played phenomenal, and it should.
You're not giving the MVP to a losing team.
Well, I understand that. But it's just such a shitty thing for Philly's fan base.
Down horrendous.
You lose the World Series, and as you stated in your text to me, the MLS thing.
It was like 2 days later.
And then you made it to the Super Bowl. You feel like you got cheated. And I just want to go on record that this is 2 games in a row that the Chiefs win on a shit call.
I've seen.
But it is what it is.
I do want to complain, though.
Okay.
They grew that field and that sod for 2 years. They spent $800,000 on that field. And they painted the whole field. Why? I've never in my life on a dry field seen that many people slip.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. That's crazy to me.
Because Pacheco had a lot of chances to where he could have.
He wasn't the only one.
No, but
Elliott almost rolled his ankle on a kick. And that's what I know they brought it up at the end, but Harrison Butker had kicked from that paint of the Super Bowl logo.
Mm-hmm.
He easily could have slipped with how many. I think it was like about a dozen guys slip. Whether it was D lineman, Jalen switched cleats in the second quarter.
He sure did.
Half the Eagles switched cleats during that game. Like that was bad.
We can't have that.
No, not with. That's 130 million watching.
That's literally because there could have been so many ACLs that went out last night, and guess what?
ACLs, injuries, just everything.
You're missing the entire 2023 season.
Yeah, just there was so much risk there, and then after they took the stage off for halftime, there was 100. That's an exaggeration, but there was 20 to 25 workers putting divot like it's golf.
Mm-hmm.
They're replacing the divots like I'm golfing.
I mean,
we can't have that. We just can't. I don't care if it took 2 years. I don't care if it took 5 years. That field was horrible.
It was. We gotta fix it.
I had to go on a rant for that.
The one thing is during the week too, you had Roger Goodell said, "I've never been more confident in our officiating than I've ever been right now." And it's
well, those guys went back to their normal jobs today, so
I think this needs to be an institute type deal, make it a full-time gig.
Make them full-time.
That it's the one way to kind of make it better, because that means they're just dedicated to that. Because these guys are working at their normal jobs all through the week.
They leave Friday night,
right?
Saturday morning, brief. I mean, they still watch and do their own side work for it, but they have their meetings in the mornings before the game. But they're out there Saturday.
They're part-timers.
They stay the night. They are. They are actually part-time, technically.
And we just can't have that, especially in these big stages, in championship games and Super Bowls. We just can't have bad officiating, and you gotta fix it. It all comes from the base of the tree, and it starts at Roger Goodell. So I mean, you have full-time officiators, like dudes that were head referees that are now, in the booth being analysis. Like
Mike Pereira.
I'm pretty sure Pereira last night was like, I don't know why they called that.
Yeah, he did that he disagreed with a couple of them.
Yeah, he's like, I don't understand, especially when they took forever on that catch up where he had bobbled it but brought it back before he went out. It's like
Devonta's took a while too.
They fucking took forever on that, and it's like Pereira was like, it's pretty cut and clear that he had 1 foot down.
I think it was for Goddard's. He said it should have been one of those quick ones that don't even go to like a review.
Well, yeah,
this is an auto review
because he let go, got it. His back foot was still down, and he put his front foot down, and he was in play, possession, didn't go to the ground and lose possession.
Yeah,
like it was pretty cut and dry. I could even see it on the first time that they did the review. I was like, yep, that's a catch. But it was a great game nonetheless. 38-35 was the score. And we're just hoping for another fun-filled NFL season next year. So,
sure.
Both defenses stepped up when they really needed to at most parts in the game.
Gardner Johnson had a few key open field tackles that saved big chunk plays.
Oh, dude, they were hitting people hard last night too.
Yeah, and you know what? Outside of Mahomes he didn't miss a play. Oh. Pacheco had an actually injured timeout, but came back 2 plays later. Yep. There was no injuries from last night, which was very good to see.
Yeah, you go into the offseason being as hurt as you want, and you have time to recuperate now. So until next year, we gotta start studying our draft boards to get a draft special out soon. But other than that, I think that's all we got for today. So
good season.
It was a great season. Hopefully the Seahawks just have a better year next year. We'll see.
Lions are the 5th best favorite. Just know that.
I'm here for the Lions being good,
which is crazy to me.
I'm here for it. But anyway, you can find me, your boy Killing Cain, at YouTube and Twitter, both at Killing Cain. Where can they find you at one more time, Day?
Realdaygaming 1 on Twitter, and the Cain and Day Show is our show Twitter.
Also follow the YouTube, hit the like button, also hit that bell in the, after you hit subscribe to the channel, and then you can know when our videos go live, so you can be the first to watch. Comment question of the day: did you like how the Super Bowl ended, and what's your prediction for next year? If you're watching over on or listening over on Spotify, go ahead and leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. Also, hit us up on our Twitters. We really want to talk to you guys. Baseball should be coming in full swing very, very soon.
Let's go tomorrow.
And so
some teams are reporting.
That's true, they are. And we'll hop right into that. You guys know that we'll do our best with baseball this year. But that's going to end it for us today. I'm Cain, and this is Day, and we'll talk to you guys next time.